So we're going to talk about twin flames not waking up. I think it's a good subject. I've done 2 videos. And I'm going to wait till people jump on, hopefully. That'll happen soon. And hopefully you will be online. There's a lot of strange energy right now, as you already know. But I thought that I would talk about twin flames tonight, a little bit tonight, okay? And see, please share the live with those you think it will benefit. We're going to go through a lot. So it's interesting too, which I've noticed in the last, say, few years. The amnesia that twin flames have aren't always based in 3D, meaning it's not always because they're ignorant of spiritual connections. Sometimes the concept of them not waking up is not because they're toxic or what have you. It's because they are actually good. They're so good. They're so self-aware. They're so spiritually powerful. But something karmically has trapped them in a situation where innocent souls, aka children, are involved, and they just can't walk away. And so for them to deal with the pain of being separated from you, and that's not all your stories, because some of you guys are dealing with massively toxic twins, okay? Yeah, please don't ask to join my live right now if you don't mind, because I don't know who you are. And I need to learn who you are before I invite you to a live, to be honest. So anyway, so you will have these amazing, some of these, right now we've got some masculine twin rays who are not stepping up because they have soul contracts with children, their children. So the amnesia, this is what I was trying to say, the amnesia that sets in for them, which sounds like it might not, well, how can they be spiritually aware and still have amnesia? Because to deal with the separation of not being with you means that they have to shut down the memory of what it feels like to be home, which is in your arms, because home is you. You are home. You and them were made the same breath. Hundreds of thousands, I'm going to be billions of years ago. And to deal with the separation, amnesia is their medicine. It's almost like an anesthesiologist taking them out, right? So that they can be comatose, if you will, to deal with rejecting you, even though they're not doing it from a place of toxicity. They're doing it from a place of karmic contracts, and aka karmic contracts, also known as contracts. We're all karmics. Let's get that straight. We all have karma. We all have karmic issues. We've earned good karma and negative karma across lifetimes. So these contracts are what tethers your twin, who is totally spiritually aware of you, totally knows who you are, totally knows the value of you in their life, and yet they are tethered by the chains of those contracts. And those karmic contracts have to be completed before they're released into your arms. It's rare, though. I'll be blunt. It's rare. Most of the separations with twin flames are dealing with egoic loops. Like I have a client who, and it was an Akashic download where she was her twin's mistress in Louisiana it was during the Napoleonic era in Louisiana, when it was owned by the French, I suppose. I forgot when the Louisiana Purchase happened, but that was the download I got. And in this incarnation, he was trying to do the same thing. And thank God she's refusing to do that, to go back into that karmic loop, you see? And it's really, really painful for her. because she has to make decisions now. So there are also aspects of the twin flame journey which I'm stunned at the Peter Pan the Peter Pan views that some content creators have about twin flames. There are twin flames that can incarnate and be narcissistic. Well, that can't be your twin flame, because your twin flame would never be narcissistic. Unless your twin flame's walking on water, unless your twin flame is actually a twin ray, and unless your twin flame is similar to, like, even on the kindergarten steps of being like Yeshua or Mary Magdalene, unless that's happening, yeah, they can come in as narcissistic personality disorders. They can definitely do that. Okay? That just because you are a soulmate or in a twin flame connection, that doesn't preclude this issue. It does not, however, is not a problem for twin rays, because they've earned the title of twin rays, because they've done all the work across timelines, dimensions, planets, and other realities, concurrent realities as well. And so none of that toxic issue, that twin flames have are part of their reality. Some twin rays are in separation only because they have soul contracts to finish up. But they're not really in separation. They're not really like running or chasing each other. None of that is happening, You could say that when Yeshua was betrayed, by the powers that be, you could say that outside environments, his duty to a greater good, right, to the collective healing, put him in a situation, right, that separated him from his twin ray, Mary Magdalena, right? But they wanted to be together. There was no issue of, second guessing the connection. That's a twin flame problem, not a twin ray problem. So in twin flames, yeah, you can have a very toxic situation where the twin flame is narcissistic. In some downloads, I found that some clients, their twin flame decided to be a narcissist to help their twin flame, right? The chaser, if you will, choose themselves. Because in many incarnations, they had been so selfless, they were so overgiving that the overgiving was toxic, which I actually uploaded the live on that particular toxic overgiving concept. So if that is a loop that, a twin flame has had problems with, overgiving, toxic overgiving, things of that nature, I did a couple videos back on my, you can look at my profile link on that. But on the twin flame, literally deciding, I'm gonna help my twin. I'm gonna come in as a complete a-hole. And hopefully she will choose themselves, and miraculously I'll heal and become consciously aware, or that will be the end for this incarnation, and we'll meet again on the other side, and we'll laugh about it. We'll discuss and go, wow, you made some progress. You came in as a petty tyrant to do this to me? Yeah, I sure did. Sure did. Because you were never going to come out of the loop of never choosing yourself, where you were self-harming yourself by overgiving, and literally to the level where it was harming you. You should see that video. It's actually on YouTube, Toxic Overgiving. And so you got to kind of like sit with yourself, right? In radical honesty, brutal honesty, and ask yourself, what is my situation? Like, why is my twin flame running from me? And is this person a narcissist because they have their own issues and it has nothing to do with me? Or is this person a narcissist because it is having a lot to do with me? Or is my twin flame very self-aware of our connections, self-realized in many levels, but she chooses to handle their children, the contracts with these souls now in these little bodies that need their protection, their mentoring, and so forth. So that is something you may want to sit with. You know what I mean? Because if it's if there's some shadows that you personally need to heal, you know what I mean? the sooner you get to the work, in terms of tearing down the illusions of what you've decided not to face for many decades or whatever, which is, we're all guilty of that. Trust me on that one. In fact, some of us have amnesia until we're old enough or spiritually mature enough for our guides to pull down the veils, and suddenly we are, left to face, some massive shadow work that we weren't ready in our teens, 20s. You know what I mean? It happens. But what I found over the years working with clients all over the world, that means different religions, different racial background, different same gender, opposite gender, all of that, right? Is that we're never being punished. We're never, ever being punished by the universe. The universe is basically asking us to step up and be very brutally honest with ourselves and then forgive ourselves. Because what happens, sadly, what I see that with a lot of clients, is that once clients decide that they are going to excavate with a tenacity, a fierceness to their own healing, right? And they pull out all these dark, skeletons out of their closet, that they unfortunately fall into a place of unfairness to themselves. They don't give themselves compassion. They don't forgive themselves. They beat themselves up, which spirals them into a loop of negativity. And the very things they don't want to experience, they start experiencing because of this self-beating, self-whipping. It's really sad. It's not necessary. You're not being asked to look at your issues of possessiveness or fear of abandonment or your attachment issues and to beat yourself up. You're being asked to look at it, to try to understand where it originates, and to go all the way back to the source. And in some cases, you may have to go into past lives. In some cases. Like today, I had this client, and I said to her, because she started sobbing at the idea of cutting it off with her twin. So my suggestion to her is, tell him that for 90 days, you can't talk. You've got a lot on your plate. You've got a lot to do. And I said, here's your homework. For 90 days, you're going to write 1 page a day of how you met your twin and your initial feelings about it. And you're going to start documenting everything that happened to this very moment. Then you're going to read it, each page out loud to yourself as you record it. And then you're going to actually listen to the recording. 1 page a day. That's it. You're going to listen to the recording so you can hear the story told as if it's being told to you by someone else. But see, that story is you. And it may give you massive clarity because you're seeing it through almost like a third person. But the third person is you. I don't know if that makes sense. But she thought this was a good idea. Because I said to her, there's nothing wrong with feeling absolutely devastated in wanting to walk away from your twin in this incarnation. And yet, at the idea of pulling the plug, you are absolutely devastated by the very thought. If it hurts that bad, which it would, then don't do it. Give yourself space. Don't block your twin. Well, what if my twin contacts me? Tell him, in this case, that if this happens, you will block him, but you need this space, and you don't want to block him. You need to figure this out. And this would put the fear of God in this person because they'll know that their twin, meaning that client, is slipping away. You see, as long as you make yourself accessible at their whim, they know that you'll never leave. And quite often, the masculine or feminine twin, both of them having masculine energies, right? Meaning they shut down, they don't connect with themselves, they deny, they avoid, they deflect. That's some of the negative energies. They run because they're not used to having these big emotions. Women are used to having big emotions, and there are men who are very much connected to their feminine side, and they're used to their big emotions. What I mean by big emotions is It can be explosive, passionate. They have friends they can talk to, especially women. We have at least 2 to 3 girlfriends. We can systematically go from one phone call to another to pour our hearts out, whereas the masculines don't have that at all. They don't. So they're used to shutting things down and gulping it in, which I talked about a year ago in one of my lives about how sadly women are catching up on heart attacks because they're also not crying. They're also shutting down. But for the most part, most women, thank God, are so in tune with their, with their emotions. And men who are on the healing journey, alpha males, divine masculines, are divine, just like divine feminines are divine because they're aware of their shadows. They're fully aware of it, and they're hell-bent on healing it. That's what makes you divine. Anything that denies that, in other words, if you deny that you're broken, if you're denying that you have shadows, if you think it's not my fault that we're having problems in this relationship, it's all your fault, pointing, deflecting, then that's not a divine feminine or masculine. It's a broken, wounded masculine or feminine. The very act of seeking healing and being sick of looping in these conveyor belts of dead-end streets is what shows that you're powerful. So I did 2 videos of when your twin won't wake up. And you can actually, honestly, be in physical union with your twin and they still won't wake up. They still won't fully see who you are to them and who you are together. What happens? They constantly deny it. I don't know if it's because it scares the shit out of them or because they don't want to be reliant on anyone. And to need you means that they are reliant on you. And God forbid you pass before they do. God forbid you drop your body before they do. They wouldn't know how to breathe without you. In fact, many of them, as long as they know you're alive on this planet, they can somehow put one foot in front of the other, using all kinds of toxic distractions to make up, ends meet, if you will. It's interesting. I'm going to read your comments. I'm going to see what you guys have to say on that particular idea. Hang on for a quick second. Girls be playing. What is a karmic exactly? Look up karma. Are karmas the people who date multiple people? No, it has a lot. No, look up the word karma. I was just thinking about all this, and I come on TikTok straight to your live. Is this a sign? Probably. Would a twin be able to feel the other twin awakening? Soul quivers. No. It's not that you'll feel it, soul quivers, quote unquote. It's that you will dream it. You won't feel it, you'll dream it. Does that make sense? You will have oracle dreaming. You will have, you'll be doing something mundane and you'll get what I call the unspoken knowing, a download. That makes sense. I've been journaling about this experience I've been having. Yeah, you have to document it or else you'll think you're crazy. Okay? You have to document. There's a lot of things I've documented from I've been journaling since I was 17. And, and I've been writing and whatever, but definitely journaling. And, there's spaces of time where you stop. But I would suggest if you never journaled your experience with your twin, if you've never documented from the very moment you met your twin, what transpired, how it felt, what happened to create the first separation, or maybe you never really got together in the first place, right? They saw you, you saw them, whatever. It's very interesting. Twin flames quite often see each other the first time, and they don't actually physically meet. In other words, meet, introduce each other for maybe a year or two, sometimes months later, sometimes a few days later, but they notice each other almost from the giddy up, it's interesting. However, be careful with that because when you have negative karma, massive negative karma with another sentient being, another soul who was your lover in past lives, and I can tell you that from experience, you are going to walk in, when the first time you come back together in this incarnation, you will feel completely drawn to this person. And you will mistake this as a twin flame connection, when what it is a toxic It could be lower, a soulmate connection with some massive trauma in multiple lives that are very active because you were lovers as well, root chakra connection, and you're being tested. And I had this experience, which I've talked about in other lives, but I remember having that experience, and thank God going to my hypnotherapist to find out what the hell this was. And then I passed this test, broke the karmic loop chain, and boom, I was back in union with my twin. It was a test. It was a test to see if I was going to keep going for the okie doke. And it was an illusion. And it was an illusion from like multiple incarnations. It was never real. You can fall in love with people that aren't your soulmates, you know what I'm saying? And many of you have, right? But that doesn't mean that it's lasting. The interesting thing about falling in love with your twin flame is that even if you get angry, and you will get angry with your twin, don't get me wrong, but it won't last, and you will always love them no matter what. Whereas if it's a person that you've met and you fall in love, you will fall out of love with them, and it will be done. You'll be done with them. Whereas with a twin flame connection, you will never, 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 never be done with them. Never. That's the weird thing. And that's what scares people. And people who have gone or are going through a true twin flame connection know that when a client tells me, they'll say, well, I think it's my twin flame. And I'll do the reading, the life path numbers, all of that. And I'm telling you, I've had like 2 clients I can tell you right off the bat where I knew for a fact it was not a twin flame. It was what you guys call a karmic, which I don't like that word, but let's call it that for the purpose of this discussion. And I'll tell you why I knew. Because not only did I see what I was reading, but I was listening to the client saying, it made me sick. Having sex made me sick with my twin. That's how they were calling them, my twin. I said, that's not your twin. Well, why? I mean, because I'm obsessed. Yes, I know you're obsessed, but that's not your twin. Because when you connect with your twin intimately, it never makes you sick. You never fall apart. You don't suddenly, lose a whole bunch of weight or gain a whole bunch of weight. Your skin doesn't go bad. You thrive. You're beautiful. You're handsome. Your eyes are glowing. It doesn't matter if the sex is just a one-off, meaning they come back for a day and then they leave you again because they're so tripped out over the connection, but you are glowing. It is a healing energy always. Whereas when it's not a twin, you will get sick, you will have problems, you will get sick. You'll have all kinds of, if you're a woman, gyno problems. If you're a man, all kinds of other problems. You might not even be able to perform. I'm just going to be blunt. So just be aware. Don't confuse obsession, past life karmic trauma with past lovers who may have been soulmates, lower level soulmates, or not even a soulmate, just, a neighboring soul village, and you mistook this looping obsession for a twin flame. It doesn't matter if your twin flame is married to someone else. It doesn't matter if you had a fight. If you connect with each other and you talk again on the phone, even the phone is like a B12 shot. Just the phone call will make you feel like $100 million, okay? That's how you know it's a twin flame. Plus, you'll get dreams, you'll get signs that will show you that you are going to come into union or that the separation must continue. That's how it works, okay? So this other client came to me. I did a reading with her this morning, and she was telling me that another reader, she thought, I'll never go back to anyone else ever again. Tony, I'm so sorry. I was laughing. But she said to me, they told her that they were twin flames. And I called bullshit. I've been telling you it's not a twin flame. I've been telling you it's not a twin flame at all. And she said, well, I know, I believe you now. I go, yeah, well, a lot of psychics, quote unquote psychics and readers are throwing the twin flame banner like it's a pair of socks, like toilet paper. It's actually annoying and dangerous because when you tell a client that this is a twin flame, I've had clients literally like saying, please tell me it's not a twin flame. I've had to tell them, I hate to say this, but yeah, that's your twin flame. Okay, I've literally had to deliver the message to a very disappointed a man or woman. And so I'm not I'm not here to throw that around like confetti. I take this very seriously because I've seen people destroyed at the very idea that this is because it's my twin flame. I got to just overgive to the point of toxicity, to the point of it harms the person. It harms the person because what happens is that if your twin flame, and I've done this with numerology, life path, if your twin flame's karma is super, super dense, okay, where they've come in to meet you, activate you, all kinds of different things, right? I've mentioned different examples of different clients I've done, right? And their karma, their loop is bad. If you go into that vortex of their loop, their karma will become yours. It's not to scare the shit out of you but it's to say, make sure you have boundaries for yourself. Make sure you let me put it this way. If you won't do it for yourself, do it for that inner child. Do it for that little 3 or 4-year-old you looking up at you going, please, please protect me. Do it for them. And then ultimately do it for the collective. Because losing you in the vortex of self-destructive behavior because your twin can't figure out how to stand on their own 2 feet. And when, after decades or years or decades, that's not good for you, okay? You can still love them. You can still send them support. But sometimes it's good to disengage or else it will harm you in the end. Their karma becomes your karma. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Let me look at your comments. Okay. Okay, this is interesting. Let me go all the way back. Hang on. Let me go all the way back. At the end of the day, I couldn't leave my family for my twin. No kidding. Can you have more than one or shifting flame twin? Yes, you can. Because we have concurrent incarnations. You guys understand that, right? I hope you guys understand what the word multidimensional light being means. We have concurrent incarnations, fractals of ourselves. Right now, Rome is we're looking at Rome 3,000 years, no 2025 hang on 2,200 years ago. Here's Rome, right? Well, right now Rome 2,200 years ago, science knows that, by the way, is happening right now. Okay, so there's all kinds of parallel lines going on, pathways, lives. So yeah, you can have definitely more than one twin flame, and people hate hearing that. So you'll have content creators going, it's not possible, you can only have one twin. Yeah, in your 3D brain you can. And your brain is completely taking it from a level of such limitations of only a 3D lens, which is very limited, as we know. I mean, how can we not know that by now? And so, of course, you can have more than one twin flame. Absolutely. They might be having a concurrent incarnation right now as we speak, just like I'm having a couple concurrent incarnation as my twin is. Does that make sense? Have you heard of the soul quivers as if almost fearful, yet you know it's not you? I'm interested in finding out more about that, but soul quivers, what do you mean? Like you feel them having sex with someone else? You feel them being afraid of something? You feel them going through some trauma? Yeah. I don't know why they're calling it. What it is it's called telepathy. That's really the simplest way to put it. It's called telepathic communication with your twin. They're not communicating with you what's happening, but you know something happened. You know, it's kind of like a mother knowing her mother sending her son to the war, or a war. Hopefully we'll be out of that game soon enough in this incarnation. We'll see that happen. But okay, so a mother sends her son to a war, and she sits up straight up one night knowing her son is gone. Her son's not going to make it. Or she sleeps soundly knowing her son's coming home. So those kinds of bonds aren't just with twin flames. They're with with soulmates, and with when you have connections with your child, which is not something you can actually take granted for, because some women will give birth to children who there's no soul connection whatsoever. It happens. It really does. And but for women who have a soul bond with their children, one or two or more, right? They have the telepathy going on as well. My dreams have increased almost daily. Other dimensions and insight on what's going on in his head. Wonderful. Thank you for helping me out today, Tony. You're appreciated. You're much loved. Thank you so much. Can my TF activate another person? It depends on the soul connection, but the answer is yes if it's a high-level soulmate. Yes, or a soulmate. Yes, they can. How can somebody karma become ours when we did not do it? Well, okay, I'm going to give you a very good example. So I'm going to give you story time. All right, so this woman is making $500,000 a year as a litigator. She kicks ass, she dresses well, she's gorgeous. She falls in love with a man who is her twin flame. He's fantastic, he's funny, he's charming. The only problem is he's a bank robber. And lo and behold, he gets caught by the FBI and he gets incarcerated in maximum prison. So now suddenly she can't represent him, so she has to hire an attorney at $350 an hour, sometimes $1,000 an hour, to litigate his case to somehow lower the charges. And now his karma has become her karma. Because now instead of enjoying her life, traveling, reading fabulous books, having wonderful dinners, making love to her man, she has to now fight for his legal case. And she not only she's paying the bill, she's paying the karmic pain of knowing that he's now in maximum prison, and there's nothing she can do about it except spend as much money as she can to lower the charges or to maybe even get him off or whatever. So now his karma has become her karma. Does that answer your question? Wow, I always joke that I'm a time traveler. Can we have more than one TF on this earth? Yes. So when you jump time, you'll meet a different TF? No. You're not understanding. The TF, the twin flame, is always the essence of the soul life force that you are in love with. Let's be honest. Some of you have twin flames who, as people, are not good. In other words, you don't like them as a human being, okay? They don't hold standard to your own moral values and compass. But you love their soul. Your soul recognizes their soul. That's what we call, this is like unconditional love in action. Because ultimately, their egoic patterns of behavior doesn't match what you would prefer to experience. It's not even what you would have tolerated, okay? So you're tolerating massive bullshit because your soul recognizes their soul. So their soul, when we say fragment, that means that these souls, this soul that has fragmented itself into other timelines, that's still the soul, except it's entered different egoic framework. Do you understand? Does that make sense? Okay, so it's always the soul. It's always the essence of that person's truth. The soul doesn't change. The egoic framework does. Imagine, I was Napoleon in a past life. I was, a GI in World War II. Then I was a little girl in Italy and I died of a fever. All of these egoic personalities are not mine. My soul still, however, remains exactly as it is. Does that make sense? It grows in understanding through the material experiences of being in these incarnations in 3D and other realms, by the way. And so it improves. I become a wiser soul, a more compassionate soul. But these egoic frameworks that I embody, because I'm African American, I'm Irish, I'm Italian, I'm Polish, I'm this religion, that religion, will give me experiences that will, change my personality in this and that way. So for some twin flames who are the chasers, okay, they don't like their twin flame. Like if that person was not a twin flame, they would have nothing to do with the person. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope it does. That resonates so much with me. Yes, I understand my husband is an impulsive spender with debt. Yes, his karma is affecting my life. There you go. Now you get it. Exactly. So their karma becomes your karma. And it's fucked. It's fucked because you can't help yourself because you love like half the shit they're pulling, you would never tolerate it for 1 fucking second. You would have walked out that door week 1. Okay? Just to be clear. So That's what's happening. Was there in that he was going to walk by a few minutes later, he walked right in front of my car. I wanted to get down and hug him, but it's not the time from everything that has happened. How about generational trauma? I have a great grandmother executed as witches, heretics. Yeah. So we have to realize that we are the caretakers of these lineages, okay? Does that make sense when I say that? This is really important you understand that. So when people say, I'm pure Irish, or I'm pure African American, or I'm pure this, or I'm pure, it's like you're that for today, okay? In this incarnation, that's who you are. So when you deal with generational trauma, it could be, and I'm going to blow your mind, I hope, on that one. It could be that you are actually a soul that was actually put on trial in the witch's trial, and you've come back to right the wrongs by clearing that karma, by clearing the trauma of that karmic shit show of being a witch put on trial and then executed, or whatever else, coming out of the Holocaust, or coming out of different types of situations of wars and activities that would have impacted the generation, and when you heal generational trauma, what's interesting is when you start healing that by simply acknowledging it, deep diving in it, holding sacred space, purifying it, purging it, grieving it, whatever the hell you have to do, is that you're actually clearing 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. Okay? I'll never forget, I did a hypnotherapy session with a woman who made the choice to choose her lover I think it was like 3,000 years ago. It was either Greece. I think it was Greece. I keep seeing Greece. In this hypnotherapy session. So instead of going through what her parents wanted her to do in the village and the people and the cousins and whatever, she ran away. They eloped. They married. And I remember asking her, making that choice of choosing you and choosing love and being so happy and making the right choice and going against the grain, especially 3,000 years ago, that's a courageous move for a young woman of that period, 3,000 years ago. And I said, so how did it impact your family? She said it impacted it well. And I said, something told me to ask, how many generations? She said 5 generations had benefited from her making that choice to not listen to her family and to shirk her, quote unquote, duties, and to choose love and to choose what felt good in her heart. And that actually impacted 5 generations after she was gone. That's pretty amazing. So yeah, there's a lot. What if we're not chasing? It's not about chasing. It's about if you are waiting, right? If you are hoping, which honestly, some of you have just started your journey on the twin flame journey, and you've got to give yourself a break. This is not something that's going to fix itself in 1 year. Okay? This is a lifetime. It's a life process. That's what I believe. That's so beautiful. Wow, I'm in religious deconstruction right now. Beautiful, fantastic. Congratulations. That's awesome, actually. Good for you. So, do you see where I'm coming from when it comes to that? So, when you look at twin flame journeys, okay? When you look at videos that say 7 signs that you're in a twin flame journey, be careful with that shit because some of it is crap, okay? The intimate union, sexual union with your twin is without, there's no question, it's amazing. It's beyond, the healing is mind-blowing. What no other lover could hit you with, when other lovers couldn't heal your root chakra, your sacral chakra, your heart chakra, your third eye, when none of them could do it, your twin walks in and the decalcification is damn near immediate. I remember when I first connected with my twin intimately, it blew my mind. And it was one of the problems because right after it, I would walk, after an intimate bout of, sports, let's put it that way, I would get up, and in getting up, or I guess it was a somatic memory, I was starting having flashbacks of past lives that were coming in like Polaroid, like film, like footage, going really, really fast. And it was mind-blowing. So those things don't happen with your average soulmate. And it certainly doesn't happen with your basic lover off the street. It just doesn't. Or the only time something interesting would happen with like a soulmate, a low level soulmate, or a basic pedestrian lover, you've had, is that if there was a karmic traumatic bond that happened in a past life and you were lovers and then you become lovers again, you may get a download of a warning. But that's not telepathy, and that's not something coming out of a connection from a high frequency. Okay, so again, don't confuse that, because it could be that the person you took to your bed harmed you in a past life. Okay, and you might get a warning download and to cut the connection, so that happens as well. I mean, it sounds really romantic, like a movie, but I remember one day I was sitting in meditation going, wow, that's amazing, is that possible? And my guide said, there are people, billions of people that have incarnated on this planet and other planets. Where do you think these movies and storylines come from? And I was like, right on, got it, you got it. Okay, so, please guide how to identify false twin flame if at all happens. What are the signs of warning downloads? You feel sick after sex. That's a warning download. You feel ill at ease. You're attracted yet repulsed at the same time. That does not happen with a twin flame. It does not. Because the pure consciousness of our souls outside of these egoic frameworks, in my case called Tony, in your case called Jennifer or Bill or Bob or whatever, these are temporary realities, right? And they and part of the generational trauma and habits, like for example, in my lineage, my French side, most of my family members on my French side are all left-handed. Okay, and so there's that genetic. Not only, the visual aspect of genetic downloads, blue eyes, green eyes, whatever, but also behaviors, habits, traumas that go down, 1,000 years. You know what I'm saying? And so all of that is like encompass why we will choose a particular lineage, to come in. And sometimes we have been an ancestor returning like 600-700 years later. And sometimes we've never embodied this lineage before, right? I have clients who have past life regression and they have never been any other race, but the race they embody right now. And there are clients who will have an incarnation in Egypt, one in China, one in Africa, one in Ireland, for example. Okay, and that's more normal than not. Yeah, it's interesting, all of these. Hang on, let me read your comments. So hopefully that answers your question on the warning downloads. My supposed twin another sign of warning downloads, because many of you are very polite, and you can be polite to your own deficit, okay? You will feel sick to your stomach. You will want to vomit. You will feel dizzy, vertigo. You will feel like you suddenly can't breathe very well. Your heart starts beating for no apparent reason. Your somatic body is connecting with someone who was a past lover, where there was a traumatic ending caused by their will against you. And you will feel, your body will be triggered somatically. It will tell you. And if you're smart, you'll listen. If you're polite and you've been trained as a child to be docile and compliant, then you won't. You'll ignore those signs until it's too late. Meaning until you're so, quote unquote, in love, right? Which is temporary. In love is a temporary consciousness. That you'll be obsessed, tied in, hoping they see you, and you'll go through a toxic loop, which is not the same with a twin flame union. In twin flame unions, quite often, there's a lot of healing that happens between the two parties. Yes, there's strife and chaos and drama. I get it, but when when it's only those two people in a room, there's massive healing that goes on, and it may be temporary, because then here they are off running. You know what I mean? The minute they walk out of the room, they forget It's almost like amnesia sets in. It's like spiritual dementia, if you want to use that term. And it's like they forget. And so this is why I tell my clients, try not to text back and forth. Try to do FaceTime. Try to have them hear your voice. Have them see your eyes. Because the minute they see you or hear your voice, they're unable to deny you. However, when all you're doing is texting back and forth, they can totally deny you. Because they're not hearing the vibrational memory of who you are through your voice chakra or through seeing you and hearing your voice. Does that make sense? So try to train yourself and your twin to go more into phone calls and FaceTime. Does that make sense? That's if you're not going to be together or if you're in long distance connections. That's really critical here. I'm not kidding. Hang on for my supposed twin said mean things and accused me of having an agenda. I feel at peace. Accused me of having an agenda. This was after the first time we played sports. We played sports. Yeah, because he was overwhelmed by the intimate connection. It blew his mind. So he figured you were a witch. So anyway, any other questions that are relevant to this discussion? Thank you for the love. I appreciate you guys. Is T my twin flame? I don't want to really embarrass you, Andrea, but do you really think that a life-changing question should be asked on a live? But let me add more to this. Do you really think anyone with any integrity would answer the question? And two, do you really think you're going to actually get a valid answer? We don't even know his name or her name. There's no date of birth. We don't know your real name. None of it is there. If you want to understand if this is a twin flame, I suggest you book a reading with someone who actually cares about you, even though they're earning your money. Find yourself a good psychic, a good reader. You can use somebody like me or somebody else, somebody who you really feel safe with, so that you can actually get a good reading. And hopefully they're not going to confetti the twin flame term to every person that comes to them. You know what I mean? Hopefully they got a track record of actually telling someone, hey, listen, that's not your twin. That's an obsession. That's a past life loop. Is it normal for the DF, divine feminine, to cry after intimacy, like really emotional? Yes, it is. Because what happens is you've entered her body in some aspect and you have discalcified trauma in her root chakra, in her sacral and her hara chakra, aka the womb chakra, and only a twin flame can do it to that level. The second tier on that is a high level soulmate, typically top 10, typically top 5 actually, high level soulmate, but never to the level of a twin flame. A twin flame walks in and the sexual connection happens, and I swear to God, something happens where the divine feminine just is sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And your job as the beloved twin flame is to hold her. Hold her. Are you okay? Should I stop? Would you like me to just hold you? Do you want me to do this again? You know what I mean? In other words, if she says or he says continue, then continue. Because you're breaching through walls, energetic, etheric walls of trauma that have been trapped in that body. That how do I explain this? It's a somatic memory that reverberates from many, many incarnated bodies where the trauma was never released. And here you are now finally in physical union, able to help your twin release, purge. It's like a massive purging. Yes, it's normal. It's good. It's healthy. Okay, good advice. I'm glad you thought so. I'm really glad. So, yeah. Any other questions that are relevant to this discussion? Any questions that are relevant? Because honestly, yeah, cool. So I'm glad. So yeah, you're doing good. You're doing very, very well. And for some masculines, it freaks them out when women cry when they are made love to. I just threw 3 tarot cards. They're giving me the Star, which is healing. Speak the truth, Ace of Swords, cut away the garbage. Ace of Cups, new love, new beginnings. So please help to overcome the fact that she is with a third party. She seems to be deeply in love. Well, I don't know what to tell you. The only way I can help is to see the energy. But if the person is with someone else who they have a soul contract with, then there's nothing really you can do. You do not do witchcraft. You do not do love spells. It will boomerang back on you. Just on the side note, just to be sure you're clear on that. Don't play games like that, because you will regret it for the rest of your life. You will mess stuff up so bad that it could put you in separation for lifetimes. I kid you not. So if somebody is supposedly in love with someone else, then there's a journey there. Sometimes when I do readings with, for example, I always ask a client if they're married. If they're married, I want the life path number of the husband or the wife. And I want the life path number, I want the date of birth of the twin. And then I have the date of birth of my client. And believe it or not, I've come across, I'll give you an example. In one particular scenario, both her twin and her husband had the life path 8, which was hysterical, because it meant that whoever she chose, her karma with the vibration of that number, whatever lessons that she was not learning from her husband, she was going to learn it from her twin. And do you know what she said to me? She said, I can't believe it. I said, what? She said, you know what? They're very similar. Under different circumstances, they would be best friends. They're so similar. I went, there you go. So, yeah, the grass isn't always greener. And sometimes they need to learn it the hard way. Sometimes the person's twin flame is with another person, and that person is a high-level soulmate, which means if it's a soulmate for your twin, it's your soulmate too. That means you have a soul contract with that person, though you may never meet them. A real twin flame that's evolved will never, ever denigrate their twin flame being with someone else. If they're evolved, but they will always, always forgive their twin. Always. It's like, it's incredible. There are very few soul connections that are that giving and that unconditional. Very few of them are out there like that. So twin flames is special because of that. With twin rays, it's just ease. There's so much ease, between the two. Oh, good for you. Good for you. But it's not just for you that I was saying it. I was saying it for anyone who might be listening, who might be considering that. Can I message love? I need one today. Can I get message love? I need one today. Fiery spirit, I'm not sure what you're asking. What is the life path number? Well, life path number is your date of birth. And what I look at is the double digits. So I spend when I do my reading, I call it a foundational reading. I have two different readings. One is called the Akashic record reading, where I do an Akashic record and I find out your past lives. I find out your spirit animals. I find out everything that needs, to be shared with you. And then I do a life path reading on you and your person. And maybe if you're married, another third party situation. And then we do an oracle reading to see what the messages are, and then we do the tarot reading to see psychic download tarot reading to see what's up, like what is this connection. And so I have done life path reading clinics, and to be honest with you, I think I'm going to start doing them again. I just moved, so I'm ready to kind of do this again. Difference between twin flames and twin rays. No, I'm not doing it here, my friend. I will not do the numerology like that. When I'm ready, I will go ahead and do the numerology. And so difference between twin flame and twin rays. I kind of mentioned it already in the top of this reading, but I'll explain it to you again. Is the fact is, and you probably weren't there, twin rays are like Mary Magdalene and Yeshua. Twin rays are like Abraham Hicks, Esther and Jerry Hicks of Abraham Hicks. Twin rays are like Lee Harris and his partner. He has a partner. Twin rays are like, hang on, trying to remember, because I have actually 5 clients that are twin rays and 1 personal friend who's in a twin ray connection. And what twin rays are is they don't have the bullshit twin flames have. Twin flames are absolute, it's fucking chaos. It's absolute ego driven, fear driven, lack driven. It's looping of negative behavior. It's self-destructive behavior. Usually one twin flame is addicted. The other twin flame is more advanced. It's a shit show, okay? And in between that is the nectar of the sex, the nectar of the connection, the nectar of just being in each other's arms and feeling like you're home, like you could finally rest your head and sleep, finally sleep, especially if you're sleep deprived. It's hearing their voice and feeling like everything's going to be okay. Doesn't matter what they're saying. It's that. Twin rays, none of the issues that we have. None of the issues that we have. I'm not joking. So you can do more research. I've done some videos on twin rays as well. So the life path number is the main total of our date of birth. Not really. There's more. There's more to it than that. But I don't want to get into it until I do a session. So I'll tell you what, tomorrow I'll go ahead and announce that I'm going to do a life path reading. I charge $15 for one person. If you add your twin flame, it's another $4, so that's $19. And I spend about 15 minutes on a live, and which I think is good because I end up uploading it to my YouTube channel, so you can actually screen record your portion. And if you want to look at some of the past ones, go on my YouTube page and you'll see examples of what I'm talking about. I've done Jim Morrison and Pamela Corson. I've done Liz Taylor. I've done Marie Antoinette. I've done Nicholas Tesla, and I've done some actual clients. So it's on the spot. So then why do TF connect if they are not both ready? It's so heartbreaking. It's interesting because the activation is important. So when I met my twin flame, I was 18 years old. He was 33. We were not lovers. We didn't do that. We had the kiss, and after that, we were separated for 27 years. So what's interesting about that, hang on for a quick second, god damn it. What happened after that was the activation began. And the activation began with, in my case, and it's different for everyone, the activation began where he gave me my first mala, japa beads, and my first mantra, told me to become a vegetarian, taught me about the Bhagavad Gita and Carlos Castaneda, and then I was like launched into the world. Okay, so it's not about being together right off the bat when you meet. It's about union happening later on. He had to go his way, I had to go my way, and that's how it was. And for some people, they come into union, they are intimate right away, and that root chakra activation is important. My root activation had to happen with my high-level soulmate, who I ended up married after I met my twin. But I met my twin before I met my high-level soulmate. Okay? And so this was what was supposed to happen. So it's not that you're not ready. It's that you're not ready for union with each other. You're still ready to have a life. You're still ready to have children, maybe with someone else, as a matter of fact. So it's heartbreaking, but you have to understand that life has a lot of nectar and a lot of heartbreaks. And one of the things I started doing, ritually speaking, which I do damn near every day, is I sage myself, and I call on the 4 corners above and below. And when I face the south, I say something to the effect of, grandmother, grandfather of the South, thank you for bearing me upon the wings of Garuda. That's what I say. Garuda is the eagle. It's a gold, or you can say eagle to make it simple, but I say Garuda. To let me know that every move, every loss, every death, every birth, every triumph, every tear, every joy, every laugh was necessary for me to be who I am today. And I'm so grateful for this life. Aho. So that's what I do. The 4 corners, I have a gratitude prayer, if you will, that I share with my guides, with myself, to remind me that I'm grateful of this incarnation. I'm grateful to be in this body. I'm grateful to have this existence, really. So that's something you may want to look at doing for yourself, because if you think that these incarnations are meant to give you only nectar and nothing else but that, then I invite you to read Khalil Gibran's The Prophet on the very fact that that's not how life works. And in fact, there's actually benefits to loss. You know, some of the great sports heroes have said that they learn more from losing than from winning. That should tell you something right there, if that makes sense. Any questions on that? Any comments? Okay. So what does that tell you about the desire for us to want everything to be easy, knowing that Earth is a school? Is school always pleasant? No. Can be quite challenging and very unpleasant. So if that's true for actual schools, going to university and what have you, then you can imagine what, this Earth school is doing. It's giving us all of the contrasts and the emotional chaos that we have to overcome. And in doing so, we grow. We grow in wisdom, compassion for ourselves, I hope, and compassion for others. And we learn how to forgive the unforgivable. Not because we are going to allow people to wipe their dirty feet on our hearts and our minds. We forgive them, but that doesn't mean we allow them back to abuse us in any way. We forgive them so that we don't carry that poison within our hearts. The poison of revenge, of anger, of resentment, and so forth. You're better off forgiving, believe me. And forgiving yourself also. I find that many of you come to me as star seeds, twin flames, and star seeds and twin flames. And many of you are very good at forgiving other people, but you're not good at forgiving yourselves. That is also something to master. So what you may want to consider doing if you have a hard time forgiving yourself is go on my profile page and look up under guided meditation Ho'oponopono. And I have clients all over the world who download it, who actually listen to it right before they go to sleep to put them in the right state of grace, Let me see here. Yeah, you don't develop amnesia. Forgive, but not forget. That means that, and you can become transcendental when you forgive and not forget. When you know that your twin is a cheater, right? And you know that. You just know that, right? And they've betrayed you, okay? And you know that too. You can forgive them. But that doesn't mean that you're going to have, how do I put that? Some women and men will stop being intimate with a twin that cheats too many times. Some men and women will actually continue the intimate connection, but if they feel at any point that that person is being duplicitous again, they will stop because they're protecting their energy. And some people actually, when they know that their twin can't be faithful no matter what and no matter how, will stop and decide to make this connection a platonic connection. You know what I'm saying? Where it's more about other things than being lovers. They will stop becoming lovers. They will only be friends. And they will be friends only because they want to, they're still holding on to the hope that this person will eventually wake up. Spiritually become more strengthened by them holding sacred space, and eventually walk away from these shenanigans. And then if that lasts for a few more years, like let's say another 3-4 years of that, and they're not waking up, some twins will walk away. I've had clients literally just, we're done. We are done in this life, not in this lifetime, and I'm out. So, the fact that we're constantly pushing people to be in union, that it's the end all be all to be in a union with a twin. Quite often the unions with twins aren't successful anyway, even though they live under the same roof, because one of the twins is refusing to be responsible for behaviors that caused all of the chaos in the first place. And the other twin, who's gone through it all, who's very much more advanced, is still holding sacred space, but is choosing themselves above all. And eventually the relationship either just dissolves on its own, or the twin who's more advanced will decide to carve out a new life, a new path. I mean, you'd be surprised how often that happens. I had a twin flame client whose twin flame was really delving into very dark, malevolent magic. We're talking about black magic, dark magic, and that it was not necessary, because when twin flames get together, it is magic. I'm not being metaphoric, by the way. I mean literally magic, because when twin flames get together, the impossible become possible. Shit that would take other couples years to manifest almost damn near instantly, if not within a month or a couple months. I'm not kidding. Twin flames are like, they're powerhouses. So anyway, this twin flame, same gender, they were a couple in love, this and that, basically was into black magic, and she couldn't do it anymore. She actually cut all ties. She was not in this lifetime, and probably not in a few lifetimes. And though it hurt her, this was a massive mourning, she did what she had to do. Twin flames are very powerful, the ones that are advanced. You only allow someone to hurt you so much based on boundaries. Yours. Yep. Is this a collective? Oh, yes, we're talking about twin flames. That's sad. Do you think most twin flames don't woke up together? You mean don't wake up together? No, I think there's some wonderful twin flames. They're very much aware of each other, very, very much aware. And the only problem is they went into separation, and one person had children with another person, and they have to raise those kids. So, wind up, I mean. Stay together, I mean. It depends. Everyone's different. Honestly, you cannot look at twin flames. Each couple has its own. It's just like, I don't understand why people don't understand that. Like when I look at content creators here and there, like I stopped looking at content creators on twin flames a long, long time ago, because I was so sick of the bullshit. But that was being sold to people. Some twin flames have similar vibrational connections that you could say, oh yes, when we first knew each other, we had 6 degrees of separations of friends. We knew all the same people. That's true for some people. For me and my twin, we met without any introduction, on our own. It was we had absolutely no similar. The only person that we knew was a very famous person, and we happened to have met that person. Like, this was a family friend. He met this famous person twice. That was the weirdest thing that I could tell you. But we never had the same groups of people or friends. You understand? So when we look at twin flames and we try to act like all twin flames are cookie cutter of each other, that's as inaccurate as thinking that your child is very similar to another person's child. That doesn't make sense, right? So why would it make sense that a couple, just because they're called twin flames and are twin flames, would have similar instances? That's not how it works. There's multiple karmas and bends and twists of twin flames' lives where they incarnated together. Then for hundreds of years, they did not incarnate together at all. They didn't see each other. There wasn't a peep coming from the twin flame. So when a twin flame was incarnated in 3D Earth, the other twin flame was sitting behind the veils, guiding, waiting, holding sacred space for them. And then the person would pass, drop their body and come to the other side. And then that twin flame would come in to incarnate to have the human experience. You know what I'm saying? So, and those kinds of experiences would have created complete and very complex nuances of karmic loops and toxic traits and repetitive behaviors that in some case would take 1,000 incarnations to dissolve, to learn from, and eventually to clear dissolve and purge for good. You know what I'm saying? So, they're not all the same. They can't be. Thank God. It's as complex as your own personal life. Let's put it that way, and as complex as your own personal experiences and your past life. But now it's dealing with you and your twin as opposed to just you. So, any other questions? Any other questions that you have, and a question that's related to the collective, if you don't mind. If you don't mind, do you have any shares of your own twin flame journey that you want to share, that you think is relevant for the collective? I know that when I look at, I just threw some cards, the aspect of confusion and the aspect of a cycle shifting for you is here. And I do see for some of you reunion and healing, but it's going to take a while. Knight of Pentacles to the Knight of Swords. There's a lot of defensive energy. Truth has to be experienced. In other words, truth has to be, a radical truth has to come into reality. And when the truths are revealed, hermiting, going within, is going to be necessary. And then you'll have to make a choice. They will have to make a choice. You will have to make a choice as to whether or not this is the timing for this union. It's not always about what your desires are. It's about what is good for you and the collective. I think my twin flame is very mature spiritually, emotionally, and it hurts me. Yeah, I bet. So I think that the twin flame journey, some people don't do well with it. Some people are in a twin flame journey and they don't know how to navigate through it because they are, like you said, emotionally immature, spiritually immature, and so forth. But the question you should ask yourself is that if it's your twin flame, let's assume that it's 100% your twin flame, okay? Then what will be the benefit to you for them to come in and incarnate spiritually, emotionally immature? You know what I mean? Like, what are you learning from that? Like, why would your twin take on that role in this particular incarnation? How does it assist you in becoming more powerful and being enough unto yourself? Waiting is chasing. Advice is super powerful. I'm glad you like it. I was shown we were Pleiadian starseed twins. He has shown me my own flaws in relationships. Right on. There you go. Exactly. So, like my twin was the personification of my mother in some ways and my father in massive ways. Okay? So there was a lot of things I needed to trigger. I needed to heal in myself that triggered the shit out of me, like massively. And what's interesting is that why would I choose the parents, right, that my twin would in some aspect embody? Why would I choose them to create these triggers if I didn't already have those triggers, which means my parents were helping me in their own way, whether it was toxic or not, on issues that I had experienced in past lives. And so now I needed to be taught to face this ugliness within myself, right, from other experiences, from other past lives, by choosing a certain set of parents that would set up a system, an environmental, behavioral system that would create trauma in me, so that then my twin would come in and I would have to look at it and then I would have to purge it, and I would either survive this experience or unalive myself. In other words, I would be pushed to such a level of despair that I wouldn't want to be here anymore, or I would fight like hell to grow and rise and thrive from the experience. And when you look at it, this is why when you do hypnotherapy regression, you can do massive, massive excavation and healing, and it can actually shake your world. And literally you can do a 180, your personality, the way you view the world, the way you view yourself, the way you ate bullshit and now you won't eat it anymore is like massive. All because you're like connecting the dots, and you're becoming responsible about it because you want to heal. You want to feel good in your skin. You want to say, look, I'm not always going to be happy in this incarnation, but while I'm here, let me get some shit done. That kind of transcendental acceptance comes from like looking at things you can heal and looking at other things you can't heal possibly in this particular timeline, and you don't give a fuck anymore. You're good with what you've been able to do. You trust that when it's time for you to do another massive purging, it will happen, and you become more compassionate to your anger, to your fears, and you start being very fierce and focused about making sure that your monkey mind is not in charge. You're being very sure and focused to make sure that nothing is going to, waylay you from your mission. And right? You get to know that you're in mission, or else you wouldn't be here. There's a mission for you. We all have a mission, or else we wouldn't be here, right? We'd be on the other side. Let me see here. Okay, let me read this. Do you see age difference a lot? Yes, a lot. Yes, it does happen. Mine was the stronger one. I was slow and he helped me heal. That's awesome. Yes, it was hard. True. Let me see. I'm starting to realize how much of this journey is about taking your power back and accountability. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's all about taking your power back and accountability. It's all about going, this person's really, look, if you're like needing your twin to validate you, that needs to be healed, because you should not need validation from anyone but yourself and your guides. If divine voices, if you get a dream that says you're fucking up, now pay attention. I agree with that. But if your twin says, I don't believe in you being a painter, I don't think you're that talented to be a painter, you shouldn't give one fuck that your twin doesn't think you're a painter. You shouldn't care if your twin doesn't like the novel you just wrote and says, it's not really for me. You shouldn't bother writing. That's not really your thing. You're not talented enough to write a book. You shouldn't, if that actually waylays you from actually writing that book or completing that book or submitting it for publication or self-publishing or whatever, because your twin said it's not good enough, but it's good. You've got friends who really are your Doc Holidays, who know who you are, who like get you and have your back, tell you, fuck, this is amazing. Like, this is so good. You got to publish it. But your twin says no. And so you're going to actually, act like you're a little puppy with your tail between your legs going, well, he said no. So she said no. So I guess it's a no. If that is the kind of power you allow your twin to have over you, to subjugate your passions, then yeah, you're being asked to choose you. That's what choosing you means in some cases. It means a lot of things. It means I'm not going to be his mistress or her lover while she's married to another person. It means if my twin doesn't believe in my talents, I'm still going to pursue my talents. It means if my twin has decided to block me and shut me down and I get a job offer, my dream job in Rome, London, Tokyo, whatever, I'm going on that damn plane and I'm going. And I will let the universe decide when we're supposed to meet again. That's what it means by choosing you. It means many things, many actions. And it's exciting in my opinion. I think it's exciting. I think one of the problems that creators have done in pushing the twin flame journey as something that you have to be in union, like life coaches going, I've put people in union, 5,000 people in union or whatever, right? And I've done this and they're in union. I have to question, really 5,000 in union? Are they all twin flames, or are some of them high-level soulmates? And are they still in union? Because we know the revolving doors of the twin flame journey. That's why it's called flame, not ray. Rays, there's none of that. Does that make sense? So that's what you guys have to look at. Like, be discerning with where the messages are. When I first was fully aware of my twin flame journey, I was listening to guys like Mel Brand on Golden Twin Ray, I think it's called. And sadly, he passed away in 2022. But he was a ball breaker, man. He didn't kiss anybody's butt. He was very honest. He was the first spiritual teacher who came out with the fact that you had more than one twin flame. As soon as he said it, it resonated because it made sense to me because I understood about concurrent incarnations, right? So it made absolute sense to me. Here was somebody who was finally speaking the truth and without any hesitation and with no apologies. Either listen to me or scroll on. Go to the Ken and Barbie story. Let's do another Disneyland ride. He didn't give a shit. And from him, I learned a lot. And all the twin flames, he was a twin ray, but all the twin flames that I followed, it was a shit show. And they admitted to it. They were saying, yes, this happened. Yes, he cheated. Yes, she cheated. Or we did, or there was addiction, or there was this, or there was that. Those were the people I followed. I didn't follow anyone else. And I've always been on a spiritual journey, and I've always been a reader, a psychic reader. But I never really, when I really realized what this was with my twin flame, I was like, what the hell? Now, literally 6 years before we came into union, he sent me a book by Brian Weiss, Many Lovers, Many Masters, something like that. I forgot what it was. But I still have it. And throughout the book, he had written notes saying, this is you and me. We are soulmates. So we weren't really looking at the word twin flames, but he already had announced that I was his soulmate. And so he was the one who called it first. And then I'm the one who actually started looking at the signs that were in my face. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. I was born May 18th. Where he was born, the area code is 518, May 18th. You can't make this shit up. And the numerology continues from there. My credit card expiration date was 12/23. His CCV on the back of his card was 558, which is 10 plus 8, which is 18. So it continues on. Do I have that with all my other people in my life? No. But I will say this. I know my son is one of my soulmate tribe members because I also see his numbers in a lot of things. And so there's messages. Ever since my mother has passed, I see her numbers coming up again and again. I don't see my father's that much. I certainly don't see my brothers. Sadly, I don't see my high-level soulmate, my husband who passed away. I don't see his numbers. But then again, his number, he was very, very transcendental when he died. Very, very transcendental. So he's really focusing on our son, not so much me. He knows I'm okay. It's our son he focuses on. And I know that for a fact, So when you see numbers, you're going to see numbers for significant soul tribe members for whatever reason. You got to pay attention to that. Don't just fixate everything on my twin flame, my twin. No, there's that. There's your child's number. There could be somebody else in your life that is very significant in your life, and you will see their numbers again and again. How do you cope with seeing the cosmic cycle? I don't know what you mean by how do you cope with seeing the cosmic cycle. You mean these lives? I don't know. I think it's pretty exciting. Cosmic cycle. I think it's exciting. For a while, I didn't think this was a good place to be. I really didn't want to be here, to be honest with you, from the giddy up. But then I don't know what happened. Actually, I do know what happened. I went through shamanic retreats. I did medicine. I did massive excavation. I did massive healing. And I did it with ferocity that shook me up. I mean, I remember when I first met my shaman, I lived in New York, upstate New York. I sold every single thing I had to go meet my shaman. I was like, I don't give a shit. I can't be this anymore. I've got to transform, and I will do whatever it takes to transform. And because I was at a certain point in my life where I had developed heart discernment, I knew I was going to the right place. It felt like this was the right person, the right place, the right time. It felt right, and everything fell into place. And it was the most beautiful experiences I've ever had in my life. So from that vantage point, then I went from not loving life and not loving, I always loved nature. I've always connected with nature, thank God. But the point is, I started understanding this exercise called a 3D human experience. I saw it as what it was. And then I became honored in knowing why I was here. And then because I was honored that I was of service to other people, because I saw value, much more value than my own petty Annie desires, right? That at least, at the very least, I could be of service to other people, that enriched my life. And I invite you to come from that point of reference, to look at this incarnation from a place of being a caretaker to planet Earth, to the ocean, whatever rocks your boat, be that person. And I remember having almost like a breakdown. I was power walking in the Arroyos, and my marriage was collapsing. My connection with my twin had disintegrated, and because I wasn't going to leave I was going to leave my husband for my twin. I had a child. I was not going to do that. I didn't have the, the luxury to do that. This was not an option for me at all. I refused that option. So I remember one day, power walking the Arroyos, and suddenly I just exploded into grief, tears, sobs, and I said, if I cannot find love in this incarnation, please make me a servant, make me a conduit to other people's healing, put me in service to do it. And literally years later, that's exactly what started my path. So we can't think that this life has to give us all the nectar 24/7. We can't think that this life is not worth living unless only good things happen to us. No matter what, you're going to love people who are going to die. That's going to hurt you like hell. That is life. And if you are allowing and working on your third eye opening, if you are downloading and asking for upgrades on your crown chakra, right, to get upgraded so you can understand and see more, right, then when people pass, when things don't work out for you, you will be able to transmute it, transcend it, connect with those who have crossed over, get their messages, and also have such solid heart discernment that you'll know if you're getting clear downloads or corrupted downloads. You'll just know. And that takes practice. It's like going to the gym. You start with a 5-pound dumbbell, doing, presses, I guess, shoulder presses. And before you know, you're at 15 pounds, right? On each arm or 20. So, and that comes from practice, just like anything else, spiritual practice. You got to go to spiritual gym. My twin is jealous of my spiritual abilities. Is this normal? No, it's not. And subjugate your own self-worth. It's about that fuel to your life. Absolutely. I agree with that. Your recent post about sleeping twin resonated a bit too much, Tony. I'm almost ready to cry. I'm really sorry. I know what you mean. I'm not sure what you mean by how does that work. This has helped me with feeling more at peace with separation, like nobody's fault. It's nobody's fault. Well, you've got free will. I'm definitely with you on this one. Good, I'm glad. Example of corrupted downloads. Corrupted downloads is when... there are a lot of spiritualists having corrupted downloads. I'll give you one that really triggered the fuck out of me, because I was like, how could this spiritual content creator fucking say this to the planet, to, a potential audience of 1 billion people on TikTok. But anyway, there's a woman my age who decided that it was a good idea to come out and say she had a download that said that it was going to be the end of the world, to pack your shit, make sure you're okay, make sure you do everything you need to do, because this is the end. The powers that be, the Anunnaki, whatever you want to call them, have decided that they're going to pull the plug on all of us because we're not worthy. I was like, and I remember going, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? And you know what happened? She had a jump of 4,000 followers. And people were saying things like, oh, I'm so glad you finally spoke the truth. Thank God, I feel so much better. I'm so glad this is finally good. It was this level of misery loves company, kumbaya. And so that would be a corrupted download, okay? A corrupted download comes in when you're told something and you know it's wrong, but you figure it might be divine. So I'll give you an example of me personally. I speak to my guides, right? I have one particular guide that's my guide, and I know he's coming because he'll call me by my spiritual name. That's how it starts. I'll be in meditation or whatever, and boom, he calls my name, and that's when I go. One day, another guide showed up, and it was a guide with no face. And I was like, okay, well, we're on the Himalayan mountains, and we're sitting and we're talking, and it was a good conversation actually, and everything was fine. And I don't really think that was a corrupted download. The corrupted download came when the following faceless guide came back, but it was a different energy and frequency, and suddenly we were in this. He I'm going to say he told me, in your next incarnation, would you like to live on this planet? And it was a very dark black sky. The sand was black. The horse was black. There were strange, hallucinogenic type of colors. It was weird. It felt off. It felt uncomfortable. It felt like I was in an MRI machine. It felt oppressive, as if I couldn't breathe. That was a corrupted download. So what I did when that happened is I saged myself and called on the five archangel, Michael, Metatron, Raphael, Gabriel, and Uriel, and I pushed that energy out and I refused it. It tried to step back in and tried to tiptoe back again, and I was like, get the fuck out of here. You're not invited. You're not allowed. And unless you invite them by not saying anything as an invitation, by allowing them to come in, they're allowed to come in, you have to refuse them, and then they have to leave. It's spiritual law. They have to. So that's some examples of corrupted downloads. Any other questions? Like, two twins, are you supposed to be with both? No, not at all. Not at all. Though I think that is not outside the scope of some systems of relationships. For example, you've got polyamory, right? So I know for a fact that there's a planet that was shown to me where it's a matriarchy, and where the men are married to the one woman. Now, that download came before I saw the following. Somewhere in Nepal, I'm not sure if it's Nepal or somewhere in that region, that part of the world, or it could be somewhere else. I really can't remember. But they really actually have that system where it's a matriarchal society, and brothers will marry the same woman, and they're very happy. So, I mean, when you ask that question from the Western lens, it's less likely going to happen unless it's a polyamorous situation. It's not impossible, that's for damn sure. But no, you don't have to be with both of them. Though, because your twin flame is having a multiple incarnation, right? Concurrent incarnation, it could be that it would work out. I'm not being funny. I'm being really real with you. But again, the egoic framework of each of these twins would have to be very transcendental to accept that. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of moving parts to that. Yes, it's India as well, some villages. I got you. That's interesting. That's scary. What is scary? I'm not sure what's scary. I was asking how that would work. Well, I hope I answered that, because I think I just did. So any other questions? Thank you for the love, guys. It's really sweet. Any other questions? So this is my first live in a while on talking about twin flames, only because I did the two videos on when your twin flame won't wake up. And if you want to listen to those two videos, part 1 and part 2, definitely I invite you to look and listen to those videos, because at the end of the day, your twin flame has free will. And free will is a double-edged sword, and could liberate your twin or bury your twin in their own egoic toxic soup. There's nothing you can do about it to prevent that. If your twin is hell-bent on losing, you can't force them to win, no matter how badly you want them to win. And that's something you're going to have to accept. Meanwhile, your job is to win. What does winning mean? It means waking up, waking yourself up to higher levels of conscious self-realization, so that you can become more and more transcendental in these incarnations, so that the separation of your twin doesn't decimate you, doesn't destroy you, doesn't bury you alive. You can still thrive with knowing that your twin can't see you. You know what I'm saying? Can't understand why you matter to them beyond just the intimacy, beyond the hugs, the kisses, beyond the feeling of being at home. It's beyond that. And if they can't see it, you can't make them see it. You see what I mean? It's just like, as a psychic, I can't make people see like light beings. Like, I can see them, they can't. There's nothing I can do about it. Because what happens is some people will actually see it in the corner of their eye and then deny it. Or they'll see it right in front of them and deny it. And the minute you deny, after you keep denying and gaslighting yourself as to what you can see, what you can download, and you keep gaslighting yourself, eventually it stops. It just does. You know? So you does that make sense? Oh, corrupted downloads are scary. I mean, yeah, they can be. I wasn't scared. I was not scared. I think my DM felt this before I knew, would ask me questions or say things, but didn't know what he was going with till I woke up. Yeah, I get it. It happens a lot where you've got the twin masculine getting it, and then by the time you wake up, they're in amnesiaville, you know, or they're denying it. So it's sad. It's a sad cycle, and it's a cycle that again, you know, just remember, this is Earth school. So even though we want to enjoy things and we want to love, we want to travel, we want to see beautiful parts of the world, we want to make love to our twin, we want all of that, right? In the physical world, to be honest, the nectar, the true nectar, is on the other side. Yeah? So this is school, right? We're passing our exams, we're progressing, we're ascending. And then eventually, right, we're going to drop our bodies and we're going to go, holy shit, that was amazing. Like, oh my God, it's going to feel like a vacation. It's going to feel, and you're going to be hopefully in union with your twin on the other side. I'm saying hopefully, because if your twin is really fucking up, the frequency won't be a match for you to really do more than just hang out for a quick second, and then the frequency won't be a match. You see what I'm saying? So that's not to say delay your ascension. It's to say be patient, because once you're on the other side, you'll be so transcendental that your twin may have to do a couple cycles in 3D incarnations before they wake up, before they get so fed up with these cycles, these dead-end streets, that they'll finally wake up without you being incarnated here in the trenches of this 3D school, and they will at that point ascend in their own right without your assistance in the physical realm, probably in the spiritual realm, I'll say, and then you'll be in union. So it's kind of like waiting for Christmas to happen, right? It's like a little 5-7-year-old going, when's Christmas? Well, Christmas is when Christmas comes. Well, when is that? Are we there yet? Well, no, there's still some things to get done. And most likely when clients are saying, well, what do I do now? I mean, what do I do? I go, are you kidding? You got a lot of shit to do. You got books to read, journals to write. You've got hikes, experiences, people to meet, healing sessions to be done. You're busy. You're going to be super busy if you're on the right path. You're not going to have time to spend too much time grieving. You'll grieve, but you'll have lots to do. And so the universe is removing this person from you so that you can focus on yourself. You can do an inventory of what you don't like about yourself, what you don't want to experience anymore in this incarnation. And the twin's been pulled out of your focus point, so you can look in the mirror and focus on you and go, well, let me look at what I need to do. Let me write an inventory of my hurts, my pains, my triggers, my fears, my bad habits, my toxic traits, my shadows. Yeah, you're going to be busy. You got a lot to do. And you could not do all that work if your twin was with you, because you would be so into puppy love, nectar, kumbaya, oh my God, I'm so grateful we're together, energy. You wouldn't do it. Sad, you wouldn't do it. That's why what fascinates me about twin rays is that they don't have a lot. I mean, I'm not saying they're walking on water, but they don't have a lot to do on the levels that you and I have to do. But they'll do polishing that final piece of their own shadows. They'll do it together, so they can still have this beautiful nectar, enjoying each other's company, and go, that's triggering me. Yeah, it's triggering me too. Let's what do you want to do? Well, let's do this and that. Okay, let's do it together. That's twin ray. And they purge, clear, and polish up these last little bits of shadows, because when you're in 3D, there's still some little, corners of your own shadows that you have to work out, which twin rays, I love that about twin rays, they do it together. Whereas twin flames don't often do. They don't. That's the problem. That's why we're here having this talk, because of that, Any questions or comments? Any questions or comments? Okay, so I think we're going to wrap it up by me picking an oracle card for you guys, and okay, they're telling me to do it from Kali. I was about to do it from the Lightworker Oracle, but they're saying Kali. So some of you need a tough message, obviously, or else it wouldn't be chosen. So go ahead and pick from the top, bottom, or middle. Ask your guides, to guide you. And when you're ready, pick top, bottom, or middle, and the majority wins. I will pick from the majority pick. Okay? When you're ready. Top. Okay? So I've got one person with top, middle. Okay. Oh, top. Okay, I'm doing top. We got it. Okay, so we've got 29. 29 is a very intense karmic number. It represents 11. 2 plus 9 is 11. And that is, let me go into the numerology on that one. 11 is the muzzle lion, a lion that cannot speak its truth, walk its talk. People think that a muzzle lion is a simpering, shy wallflower. No, a muzzle lion can be a badass, 6'4", Hell's Angel, or Harley Davidson dude who actually would rather be with a man as a lover, living in Paris painting, because he's playing a role to please other people. That's a muzzle lion, rather than being true to his sexuality, his desires, and his dreams. That's a muzzle lion. All right, but 1 plus 1 is 2. And that represents in tarot the high priestess, psychic energy. So let's read. So this is called Devi Makali. And it's a baby. It looks like baby Krishna in the arms in the hands of, it looks like Kali. So let me go ahead and read this to you. This looks like a very, very sweet, soft oracle reading. All right, let's begin. 29, Devi Makali. Endlessly loving, infinitely forgiving, she will never turn away from you. No matter what you have done, no matter how many mistakes you have made, she is here for you always. Feel the safety and sanctuary of her divine hugs. She is your soft place to fall and your kindest and most enthusiastic advocate. Let her shift your experience away from endless task and ever greater expectation into sweet relief and comforting connections. There are times when we just need our mother. This is natural and necessary. However, for whatever reason, we may not be able to turn to the mother figure in our lives in our times of need. There's no need to feel deprived during such moments, for we have a divine mother who wants to help and has the endless resourcefulness to do so. The problem of receiving grace is never with the source of it. By its nature, grace flows with generosity. So needing to earn or deserve it goes against the very nature of grace itself. However, we can struggle to be open to it and have a subconscious resistance to receiving. Intellectually, we may know that we are worthy of being helped, and even that others will also benefit when we are flourishing, so that grace brings multiple benefits to us all. Yet we can still be more attached to the difficulty than the resolution. Why is that? We cannot underestimate the influence of belief systems created in response to childhood trauma and the impact these unchecked beliefs can have in our adult lives. The beauty is that Kali will not only help us identify where we have our blocks. She will also help liberate the soul by providing us with a choice. We can allow her to consume those past traumas, relieving the soul of karmic burdens. Devi Ma Kali's grace is not about encouraging psychological regression or giving up the necessary learning and responsibility to grow. It is a recognition that there are times when even a mature adult just needs to feel loved, held, and appreciated, cherished, and adored. Not for the sake of boosting ego, but for replenishing the heart that wants to give and give and give. It is about withdrawing from the distraction and the battles for a time. Not to escape from what you need to do, but to have the energy and clarity of mind to approach your life journey effectively. Regression is avoidance, whereas reconnecting with the childlike relationship to the divine replenishes the inner resources so one can continue, change, approach, and gain supportive allies so that the success can unfold more graciously and swiftly. The devotees of Kali Ma, Hindu saint Sri Ramakrishna, taught that when a tree is young, it should be fenced all around lest it be destroyed by cattle. What does that mean for us? Positive qualities such as healthy self-esteem can be burgeoning within us, even when we are not fully aware of the extent of positive change that comes from the subtle inner shifts of mind, heart, and soul. Significant healing shifts often take place beneath conscious awareness. This is good. It represents and prevents the sabotaging aspect of the mind from killing off that fledgling quality before it is strong enough to stand up to the patterns of the past and assert itself, rather than, for example, being trampled by overly critical and shaming voices. The protection of the young tree is a symbol for taking care of that which is vulnerable until it becomes strong enough to stand on its own, fulfill its destiny. This is what a mother is meant to do with her child, what Kali Ma Devi does for all her children. If they will come to her, there is something good growing within you. Don't let clumsy or ill-wishing energies around or within you get anywhere near it. Let Kali Ma protect you from within and without. This particular form of Kali is without the association of battles and wars with which she is most commonly connected. Instead, she is the divine mother holding your being in her arms in a quiet and peaceful nursery of the soul, rocking you back and forth with a gentle, sweet lullaby upon her lips. The Hindu scriptures teach that when Shiva drank the poison that threatened to consume and destroy the world, he became sick with the pain of it, and so transformed himself into a baby, feeding at Ma Kali's breast. Her milk soothed the poison, taking away the pain. If you have been taking on energies from others, perhaps unintentionally or even intentionally, in an attempt to alleviate their suffering, then the message is that Kali is providing you with relief and healing now. When you have so much going on that it all feels like too much, permit yourself to seek her out and be comforted, held, and reassured. It is natural for a child to need and reach for its mother. You are deserving of comfort. Allow yourself to experience it without reservation. Wow. So that, I would say, is for you to actually nurture your inner child. That is the message. Nurture your inner child. Make sure that you give your inner child attention. Make sure to apologize if you've ignored your inner child for a long, long time, if it's been a long, long time since you've had a chat with your inner child. If that's you, then if I were you, I would actually take a moment and look for a picture of myself as a baby, and then look for a picture of myself as up to the age of 12, a picture you despise of yourself because it represents some trauma. And those two pictures should be on your altar. If you don't have an altar, I have a video on my profile page that shows you examples of altars that I've had in like a 4-year window. Okay, different altars to give you an idea. I've been hearing become childlike in your heart lately, so this is interesting. Well, we should always be childlike. We become too stern in these incarnations. The world kicks kicks our arse, as my friend Andromeda Flame says, and to such a level that we become stern and we lose the joy of childhood. One of the things I loved about my twin flame, that I love about my twin flame, is that when I went to meet with him, to live with him, we decided to, move in and live together. And I remember he had mentioned sledding, right? He wanted to ski, but we were on a budget, so we decided to sled. So I went to Home Goods and bought some sleds, some like adult sleds. And I hadn't been on a sled since I was 10, I think, or 12, something like that. Anyway, here's this man who's like 15 years older than me. He's in his 60s, I'm in my 50s, and we're sledding like children, and we're laughing hysterically. My makeup is running down my face, my mascara, because I'm laughing so hard. And we're just having the time of our life, and that became our thing. In the winters, even if it was nighttime, we would go sledding. And so that was a moment of childhood. I remember us like hiking up in Woodstock and to camp at night and just laying down like children looking up at the stars. There was a lot of laughter in the beginning. It was the honeymoon period. And then eventually what happened was triggers began to surface, his and mine. And then it became extremely challenging. So it's interesting, this childlike feeling of like, I don't know if you've ever rolled down the hill. When was the last time you rolled down the hill? When was the last time you actually said, I'm going to do something that makes me happy? Like something like, I don't know, booking a horse riding expedition, or painting. Even if you can't paint, just painting, getting colored pencils and so forth. When was the last time you took chalks and did a chalk art on your sidewalk? That's all childlike, beautiful expression. When was the last time you decided that maybe if you're a woman, you wanted a doll, the dream Barbie you always wanted, or whatever the fuck it was that you wanted? It could have been anything. It could have even been starting to buy children's books. Or I had one client who's an engineer. I'll never forget this. She's an engineer, brilliant woman. And I said, what do you miss? What does your little girl want? She said she wants Barbies. I go, okay. What else does she want? She wants to make clothes for her Barbies. I go, you can do that? She goes, yeah, I sew. I go, okay. So you're going to have a swivel chair. One desk is going to be for your engineering work, right? And on the opposite wall, you're going to have a desk with your sewing machine, your Barbie dolls, your materials, your ribbons, and you're going to use your swivel chair to go back and forth between projects that make you happy. So she was going to so I said, so here's what I need you to do. I need proof you bought those Barbies. And she sent me a picture the following day. So there's nothing wrong with any of that. I mean, I love dollhouses. If I had the time, I would probably construct a dollhouse. I'm fascinated by, I remember going to the British Museum, and they had the most incredible dollhouses I've ever seen. When I was a little girl, I was 10 years old. I never forgot it. I think that's pretty cool. But also I love books, and I've been buying here and there old childhood books that make me feel happy. Just seeing them on my shelf makes me happy. So, this concept of what it means to connect with your childhood, it can be quite literal. It's not just metaphoric. It's a literal experience, which brings you back to these moments where you were innocent and having a great time, and you were shielded, even if it was just for an hour of your little life, from trauma, from your family drama, from all of that, right? So whatever that was, and whether it's a dollhouse, a rocking horse, I don't know, whatever the hell it is that rocked your boat as a little kid, a little boy, a little girl, go get that. Go reclaim it into your life, right? That's what I would suggest. I've been blessed with an opportunity to help special needs kids to do theater and dance. That's pretty exciting. That's really exciting. That is a blessing. And you get to see them. Like, for example, when I was a little girl, I had stife. I had a lot of stife. In Europe, that's just the, stuffed animals or stifes, right? And they're collector's item. But to be honest, I went ahead and for, for for my son, for my future, if I should have grandchildren, you never know. Whether I'm here or not doesn't matter to me. But it's really like, but looking at those stiff puppets made me so happy. I was just over the moon. So whatever it is that connects you to your childhood, if you're a man, old baseball cards, old comic books. I used to love Richie Rich, and I used to love. I'll never forget that. Those are memories. I just had a flashback of being in Rome, and one of the things one of my treats was reading comic books. And my mom one day said, "I don't want to do that anymore. I want you to read books." And I had to prove to her by reading out loud that these comic books were making me a better reader. So there's all these little memories, Archie, and there were, Casper the Friendly Ghost, things like that I remembered that I was reading as a little girl. So, and for men, I would suspect baseball cards, playing cards, Pokemon cards. It could also be, like I said, comic books. Jerseys, sports jerseys, rock collecting, stamp collecting, things that kids do, I think is you just do it. Just don't even second guess. You're not here to explain yourself to people. You know what I mean? You're here to find your joys and to feed your little boy or girl so that they feel safe and heard and seen, so they don't feel ignored. Because honestly, quite often, I'm amazed at how many clients who have never actually tapped into their inner child, like they've never even attempted it. And when we do the exercise of them tapping into their little kid, the kid's in an attic, in a dark room, alone, curled up, feral-like against the wall. I can't tell you how many clients describe a similar scene to that, where the kid is retracted within and shame-filled or whatever, and is afraid to move from that spot until the client coaxes the child out of its fetal position, if you will. You know what I mean? So if you've never done it, you're being told to do it, okay? That's how my ex learned to speak English, comic books and action figure boxes. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, yeah, I would say just do whatever it takes to bring yourself back to that level of ease and feeling safe and feeling thriving. Because as a little kid, when you're dealing with that, you're having a little tea party with your doll set or whatever, you're thriving, you're expressing, you're creating, you're inventing a world of fantasy. So it's really cool. All right, I'm going to let you guys go. If you want a reading with me, if you want a hypnotherapy session, please know that I will not contact you at all. I have to do this with every live now because people are contacting, people like you and saying that they're me and that I think your energy is so fabulous. Would you like to do a reading with me? And they're posing as me. So if you want a reading, you would go on tonybartka.com, you would fill out your intake form, and you would go ahead and book. I would call you. I don't have a calandria on purpose. I know the technology, don't think I don't. But I do not want to do a calandria to have nameless people book. I could make lots of money doing that, but I'm not interested in that. What I'm interested in is finding out why you contacted me, what you want to heal, what kind of reading you want, what would benefit you from hypnotherapy, what exactly do you want to experience, what are your goals, what are your intentions, what have you gone through. And for about 10, maybe 15, at the most 15 minutes, we chat before we book a session. So that's how I do my bookings. I book one-on-one, personally, so that I know and I'm a fit for you. So that's how I do it, okay? All right, my loves, thank you so much for your time. Please check out the videos I've just uploaded today. If you want to look at some of these lives, look at the life path numbers and stuff, go to my YouTube channel at Sacred Intimacy Tarot. Go on my profile in the link tree where you'll see the direct link. Also, if you want to buy my book, Recall on Twin Flame, Past Life, Mesopotamia to 1997. It's on my book was actually banned by, I'm proud to say I was banned by TikTok. I'm a banned book. I'm really excited to say that. It makes me actually happy. What the hell? The glass is always half full, my friend. So anyway, sending you much love on your journey. Namaste. Be well. Take care.